This is Jürgen. Get Jürgen from Capcanes. It's not my first time in this vineyard, and I promise you it's not my last.
Woo!
Where are we? Where are we in the world?
I mean, actually, right now you're in my own vineyard. I'm also one of the partners, one of the shareholders, one of the wine growers in Capcanes, and I bought myself this vineyard in 1999.
1999.
1999, but this vineyard is much older. The vines you see right now, they are planted in 1940. So they are 85 years old. I mean, this is quite a decent age. And the beauty is, we are now, what's November? Mid-November, end of November. You look at the vineyard.
Forgot the day, the month, I remember.
So the end of November, and you still see the green leaves. You see all the wild herbs. I mean, this is all organic farmed. This is the way.
So pretty.
I mean, that's the way nature should look like. Yeah,
It's true. But what's the difference? Because I've seen in very few places the vines like this. Other vines you see
on wire.
on wire. So
Yeah,
what is
yeah. This one we call it enbasso. They look like little cups, and they're very narrow. They're only
Enbasso.
Enbasso. Yeah. And the advantage is that all the nutrition and the water, it's not you don't lose it to grow higher vines, because here we're very limited. Yeah. So they're much nearer. Then during summertime, those arms, they protect the wine against. They give shadow, and they also protect the soil itself against drying out. Because we have a big issue here. We're
The wind?
I mean, the wind is today a big issue. Usually we don't have any rainfall. Usually we're from May to October, it's completely dry.
So
they protect the wines, they protect the soil, and they give shadow.
Guys, it's so beautiful here. We were thinking of setting it up over here and telling the story, but it is super windy, and I think the story is much nicer than the actual scenery. So go ahead, sit over there. Capcanes has a very unique story, and I would love to share it with the world. And I believe you would love to share it as well.
Of course I do, and thank you for listening. No, I mean, the beauty and the strange, the bizarre, the amazing part of our story is that at our property there's nobody Jewish. There's no Jewish investment. It's a tiny, small village, 400 inhabitants, 50 farmers. They're all Catholic. So there's no closer connection with kosher itself. And in '95, when we decided to go for it, there was no kosher wine made in Spain. And the rabbi in Barcelona, he was forced to buy kosher wines from the French. And you can imagine the Spanish guy was forced to buy wine from the French, was not really one of his favorites.
Now that we have to buy scarves.
Exactly. So what happened is he convinced us to give a try, and in '95 our one and only business we did at our property was selling bulk wine and selling grapes, which means we never ever bottled anything.
So basically they would sell grapes to all the wineries around them, or sell bulk wine and they labeled it for whatever they want.
Exactly. So in those days there was no wine labeled under Capcanes. And the first bottled wine under Capcanes label was our Peresh Habib 95. And the amazing part is the second vintage, the 96, by José Penin, who's the most influential wine writer in Spain. He reviewed it behind Pingus and Lemita to become the third highest scored wine all over Spain. And the other two, they're sold at $1,000 and at $600 a bottle. And the third best was our Peresh Habib.
Wow.
And that was just the year when I finished my studies. I'm studied as a winemaker, you know, and I worked for an importer in the wine sourcing department. And originally I'm from Germany, but in those days I already moved to Spain. I have never had in my life kosher. I had no idea what kosher is about. I heard about the 96 Peresh Habib. It awoke my curiosity. I came to the winery, tasted the first Peresh Habib, 95 and 96, the first two vintages, fall in love with it. And based on this wine, actually, we decided to build up the non-kosher wine range.
Which is a flip side from all the wine stories that I've heard.
Exactly.
And
so the story is a bulk wine and a grape supplier became a kosher bottle wine supplier, a kosher bottle wine producer, and finally a non-kosher.
A non-kosher.
There's not one Jewish person in the village, there's not one Jewish dollar in the company. So the Catholic, narrow-minded mountain farmers invested their own money in the Jewish
just because the rabbi was like, didn't want to drink French wine.
Somehow, yeah.
But it's amazing because probably back then there were no great kosher wines either from France.
I mean, you know, for us, making kosher it's a big challenge, because not everything is makes life easier. Yeah. Also, when you're not religious and when you're not Jewish and you have to follow all day long the rabbi's instructions.
Enough that you're Jewish, you have to follow the rabbis.
I mean, that's your battle. So that's a big challenge at all. So the way we look at it, and the way we had to find a response and to justify all the headaches, yeah, all the extra work. And the way I look at it is, for me, actually kosher, it's the oldest law of food and beverage conservation which exists in the world, yeah? And in those old days, thousands and thousands of years ago, I mean, everything was about taking care, avoiding certain risks at the beginning, trying not to get into trouble. So, and in this kosher way of food production and winemaking, there's a lot of truth behind.
One thing I know, that Capcanes will always make kosher wine because you started that way. And Jürgen, keep on what you're doing best. And guys, remember, the more you taste, the more you know. The more we taste,
check kosher.com.
Tune in.